Hello everybody, I hope all of you are safe and healthy in your home or in your lab. Now is the most important thing. Okay, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Santiago Dalmau. I'm a dental technician for more than 30 years. I have my own laboratory focusing on digital flow. The name of the laboratory is Digital Made. So let's go. So let's talk about Zirconium and Biomic. And at the beginning, we must think in which kind of zirconium we're going to use. Monolithic zirconium, but which one are you going to use? Generally, I use only two kinds of zirconium. Normally is HT and 3D Pro. 3D Pro is for aesthetics works and HT for the rest, maybe in posteriors or something like that. Generally have for aesthetics HT, but not always, because with a little work of stain, internal stains with infiltration and with makeup, we can do a very nice restorations like this. This is HT, only with a little work of infiltration with magic coloring. After that, we're going to see the technique for the coloring, for the coloring in a green stage. And okay, this is easy to have nice results with HT and with infiltration in green stage. Commonly, I use that when the patient need strong restoration. HT is more stronger than 3D Pro, but HT have more translucency. That's the reason that I use in all the aesthetics works like this with big restorations. At the beginning, we're going to talk about monolithics in a single grounds, but I show to you after 1, 2 or 3 cases of the monolithics in anterior. I'm going to show you the technique for the workflow for the big restorations. We can see now here I apply the white aesthetics and the pink, the 3D glazing in a pink aesthetics. Later we're going to talk about in detail how we stratify the gum in the final of the presentation. This is the ready to the furnace, the rehabilitation ready for the furnace and a big maxillar work. And this is the final result only with makeup in the white aesthetics and makeup of pink gum of Biomic in the maxillar. After that, we're going to talk about in detail. Okay. However, that type of restorations, I work here with metal connection. Never work on implants. The Zirconio connection. Whenever work on implants, the Zirconio connection is made with cemented metal connection with metal abutments. We can correct butt angulations, also taking or work away from the implant connection. No? I never connect the zirconium with the implant directly. Ever I work with that type of metal connection, and we can choose the angulation and correct some things. Okay, the 3D Pro for me is one of the best, maybe the best zirconium that I ever proved. I work commonly in my work lead A. I work with 3D Pro because have a very strong resistation and in higher than 1050 from 600 in the top. For implants, for restoration for implants is very interesting because when we're going to cement the metal connection, we have in the cervical zone we have 1050 megapascals. It's very strong for me, and I'm very comfortable with that. And the translucency is higher than 50% in the incisal area. The middle on the cervical area is from 43 to 57 in the incisal area. For aesthetic works, are a very, very good material. One of the best zirconiums that I ever proved. Okay, if I present a work like this, it is difficult to know where are the crowns, the veneer, the implants, or whatever I'm going to do there. If it is difficult to see, it's because of correct work of provisionalization, transmission of information like impression, photo, etc., and design has been carried out. Look at that. This is a work placement in the mouth, and you can see here in the middle we have zirconia crowns. In the laterals, in the 12 where we have a feldspathic veneer, and in the 22 have a zirconium pillar. Okay, we're going to talk about how to make the transmission of that information of the soft tissue to the technician, and this is very important to design our structure. I'm going to show you with two cases of a single crown, monolithic single crown. We're going to reproduce the emergency profile, and the clinicians take to us a special impression with customized abutment for impression. Is important thinking that, because if we don't do that, if we don't do a customized abutment for the impression, it's impossible to transmit the real state of the papilla in the mouth of the patient to the model, to the master model. It's very easy to do that. It's only 5 minutes in the dental office, like this. In the first step, we take out the provisional of the mouth of the patient and screw in a lab replica, in an implant replica of the lab, and put all that thing, the provisional and the replica, inside a block of silicone. After that, we cut the top of that block and unscrew the provisional, and we have this. The replica is inside the block of the silicone, and now we place and screw the impression abutment. When we have that, we refill with photo material, and that's all. Here we are photo the material, a composite or something like that, and we obtain that personal custom abutment. And now we have the profile, the emergency profile, exactly that in the mouth of the patient. Look, this is the emergency profile in the mouth. This is the abutment, and now this is the profile, and you can see the master model is the same. We have a very exactly master model, and now we can begin to design the structure for that canine. This is a 23, and now we can here you can see how the gum and the patient and the model are exactly. Look at, if we compare the customized copying or standard copying. In the left side, we can see the standard. In the right side, you can see the customized. Is a little bit schematic. The GAM is a little bit the GAM is a little bit schematic. We lose information in less than 5 minutes. Less than 5 minutes. Now we have a master model, and we're going to make silicon index and WhatsApp with wax, make a study WhatsApp and a silicon index, or we can and we can make the scan of that WhatsApp, or we can do in directly in digitalization of the model. We can design directly in the model, or we can make with WhatsApp. I prefer make with WhatsApp because I control better the form, the contour, everything. You know. Here you can see the emergency profile, and this is the final design in a virtual WhatsApp. And here we have the monolithic with a 3D. With a 3D glaze, and we control the form, the texture. We can make final adjustments, you know. And for color, form, and texture, you can see the specular image, and is the same. Is the same like in the other side. Like 13 is like a 23. After that, we have make, polish, and glaze, and make a polish. After that, we're going to talk about the technique for the makeup and the 3D and all that things. No, yeah, I only show you one case for to reproduce the emergency profile and how to design the piece. No. After that, we're going to talk about the technique for the makeup and the glazing. This is the final contour, anatomical control, and the work placement in the mouth. The communication between the clinic and the lab it's okay, and the soft tissue it's okay, the color is okay, everything is okay now. In my opinion, is the 23 is a little bit, in my opinion, is a little high value. But integrates perfectly, I think so. It's a good result. And monolithics only with a little bit of stain, with 3D glaze and polish, and that's all. You know. And now I'm going to show you how to design the structure. Now I show you before I showed you how to transmit the information for the clinic to the lab, and now I'm going to show you how to design the structure. This is the case of another one. The 11 have the broken root. You can see here, and it's going to take out and place the implant in. Take out the root, the broken teeth. The root is broken, and place an implant. I think the implants maybe should be placed. I think the implant is going to place protectically surgery guided. Why? Because when we're going to make the restoration of the 11, we need a predictability about the prosthesis. If the implant, if the clinical players, the implant thinking in the prosthesis is better after to make the restoration. Okay, here you can see the provisionalization, maybe for more than 5 weeks. And this is the day of the first provisional. After that, we're going to remodel the emergency profile. You can see here how I can recontour the emergency profile to reproduce the zenith of the papilla in the 11, because 21 have a very strange zenith it's not in the center. It's very is in a distal area, and we need to make a provisional with a little pressure in that point, because when we make pressure, when we make pressure, the gum is going to be upper. When we make a concave zones with deep pressure, the gum, the papilla is going to be down, no? Like this. You can see here. It's not exactly, but it's very, very similar. The zenith is in now is very similar to make the final restoration. Okay, after that, we're going to copy the emergency profile with the provisional. Take out the provisional and make a scan of that teeth, 11, and we scan the mouth and the provisional out and inside the placement. Here we have the provisional, and now we have the emergency profile exactly at the provisional, and we can design the final restoration of the crown of that 11, because now we have this emergency profile we have that provision, that emergency profile in our master model, you know. And now we can design the 11 in a digital model. Here you can see the emergency profile of the 11 is the same like the provisional crown, like this. You can see the zenith. Here is the implant replica, and we design the crown, make a specular imaging of the 21, and we create that pillar, that crown, because that crown have in the subcritical zone, they have all the zirconium in contact with like a bottleneck, you know, very, very narrow near the implant, and going to be bigger in the critical zone, in the critical area, and recreate the imagine of the 21 in the 11. If we put together that bottleneck and the crown, if we put together, we going to have the final crown. Now we produce that crown in a CAM process and make the 2D and 3D glazing. After that, polish and makeup, and again glazing and hand polish. Ever make the hand polish, never use the glaze only. Ever you need to make the hand polish to control the shiny of the restoration. And after that is the placement day. Here is the crown, the initial situation of the case, provisional, and the final case. Here it is. And look that if we in the central papilla, look, place your attention in the central papilla. If we make a good design of the abutment of the design of the zirconium in contact of the patient, if we make a very narrow neck, like a bottleneck, and we give a space to the soft tissue, The soft tissue is going to be grow, no, like this. Look, the central papilla is going to be down here. It's growing. Okay, Tarno have risen, and happy passing. Okay. The next one is another crown in a 14, I think so, in a single unit implant. I ever do the same. After the milling machine, I make the texture by hand. After that, I infiltrate a little bit in the occlusal area. I'm going to show you after that. And after the sintering, the Zirconio sintering, I make the makeup with Biomic and Glaze. That's all. It's very simple, like this, you know. Here is 24. Sorry, no, it's not 14. It's a 24. And here is in the mouth. Okay, it's integrate again. Or this one. This is our lateral. Is a 22. I do the same. I copy the provisional. I copy the emergency profile, and I take impression with customized abutment. I design like copy the provisional and glassing, texturing. That's all. It's very simple. Look this. I talked to you about that after. This is the critical contour and subcritical. You know, the subcritical contour is concave, and it's like a bottleneck. You know, and the critical contour is where the crown begins to grow from the papilla to outside. No, here you can see the placement of the implant in that 22. Another one is exactly the same. It's another lateral. Is another 22. In 11 we have another crown. A feldspathic crown. In the 12 is in a 22 is monolithic. In a 13 is a veneer. In a 23 is a veneer. Sorry, but this is the same here. Okay, I'm going to talk about how I do the texture and how I make the infiltration. I'm going to talk about that. How do I make then the look natural? I'm going to tell you how I do it. Always try to simplify the process, so that everything is less complicated. But bars and that's good. Okay, I only use that bars, no more. Only 0.3 millimeters or some diamond bars, or that score. I think is the name. I don't remember. I don't know the name in English. Score. No? Okay. I use that last one for for making more soft the surface. You know, when I carve a little bit more than I need, I use that score to smooth the surface. I'm going to show you. Okay, this is the crown that I take out of the milling machine. For me, it's a little bit short. The texture is not natural. You know, I take out the connectors. After that, I use that rubber. Is a bar. Is the same that I use for a resin restoration for acrylic. You know. And I customize that bar. I with a with a stone. I carve that bar and I make that lines, things for touch the surface and make lines or make pricky matters or something like that. I'm going to show you here is the same bar. One is a bar customization. Look, that's I talk to you. This is the crown. Here is the bar. You can see how I make that lines, no? And I can make different characterizations of that crown. Maybe if it is a young patient, I make more strong lines, or I don't know. Pricky matters is more it's more easy to see, or I don't know. Huh? But in an old one, is all the surface is more shiny, more bright. No? That's the reason that I need one bar to make that lines. This is in the left side is a young one. In the right side, in the left side, you can see like a crown directly take out of the milling machine. In the right side, you can see after the texturing process. I'm going to show you in a little video. It's only 2 or 3 minutes. Here you can see I use a lateral light to see the volume, because when we use a fenital light, it's impossible to see the lines because no shadows. Here you can see I put a lateral light.
Love got the mighty, let me tell the news. My head got wet in the midnight dew. Red gold, I've been down on my bending knees, talking to a man from Galilee. My God spoke, it sounds so sweet. I thought I heard the shuffle of angels' feet. He put one hand upon my head. Red God the mighty, let me tell you what he said. Go tell that lonesome liar, go tell that midnight rider, tell the gambling, backslider, tell the God the mighty, gonna curse him down. Run on for a long time, run on, ducking and dodging, run on you for a long time. Let me tell you, God the mighty, gonna cut you down. You might throw your rock, hide your hand, work in the dark with your fellow men. Show us God made you rich and poor. You gon' reap just what you sow. You might run on for a long time, run on, ducking and dodging, run on you for a long time. Let me tell you, God the mighty, gonna cut you down. You might run on for a long time, run on, ducking and dodging, run on you for a long time. Let me tell you, God the mighty, gonna cut you down. You might run on for a long time, run on, ducking and dodging, run on you for a long time. Let me tell you, God the mighty, gonna cut you down. You might
However, when you make the texture, you need to blow very well the powder, Zirconio powder, because if you put in the powder with powder, to sit together with the powder. Okay, you can see with the lateral, you can see the texture.
Some people go to church just to signify, trying to make a date with a neighbor's wife. Brother, let me tell you, just to show you're born, you better leave that woman alone. Go tell that lonesome liar.
Okay, this is the final result. When we need to make a aging crown, I polish like a mirror, because the young teeth are have a lot of perichematies and lines, and the old one have a very shiny surface. You can see in that picture the young teeth and the old one, and the old one have a surface of abrasion surface. I'm going to do that in my restorations. I make that abrasion surface function surface. Okay, this is a young one, a young teeth with a perichematis that growing lines. No, that makes this is important, because when you make a crown for a young patient, the light makes a diffuse reflection in the surface of the teeth. But in an aged tooth, the reflection of the light is like a mirror. It's very different. It's more polished, more shine, the aged teeth. That's the reason that I going to make in a aged patient. I'm going to make this abrasion surface, a function surface. I polish better, but I don't do. I polish with a rubber, but I do only make some cracks, function cracks, with a 0.3 millimeters bar. And that's a different young one and aged one. The young one have more texture in the surface. The aged one have only cracks, but no texture in the surface. Very shiny, very polished. And in the occlusal area, you can see the abrasion surface. And okay, in my workly day, I use that the coloring liquid, the magic coloring liquid of Aidite, to infiltrate the structures to make increase the feeling of deep with orange in the occlusal zone. In an aged crown, I'm going to increase the saturation in the cervical area and the gray in the incisal area. In young one, only a little bit of incisal area. The blue, the orange in the occlusal area, incisal gray or blue, it depends. And brown in the aged one, in the pointed point, in the contact point. And shade out, or whatever you use, shade B or shade 3, it depends. You're going to increase the saturation of the medial and cervical zone. This is the young and aged. The young is only a little bit in the incisal area. I ever do the same. I'm going to put in a furnace, in that this is the sintering cameo furnace of Aidite. This is pre-makeup in the top, in the left side, sorry, and in the right side, the aged one is more intensive, the color, more saturation, but remember, is A2 in two cases. But in the aged is more high saturation. You can see in the occlusal area they said how to increase the sensation of deep in the with that orange in the center. With the coloring liquids, you can do different concentration of saturation of the crown. This is A2 in the three cases. You can see it's A2, but the first one is A2 pure, like the disc. Second one is more saturation of the A2, and the third one is with violet in the occlusal area and more A2 in the cervical zone. Another important thing that we need to think about it is the fluorescence. We need to use makeup, fluorescence makeup and glaze fluorescence, because the natural teeth is fluorescence. We have more fluorescence in the cervical zone and less fluorescence in the incisal area, like in a natural teeth. You can see here is a molar. We have fluorescence, natural fluorescence. In an ultraviolet, when we use the ultraviolet lamp, in the left you can see a crown without makeup, without glaze. In the right is a crown with a glaze, ultra fluorescence, makeup and glaze. You can see the zirconiums haven't fluorescence. This is the problem, and that's the reason that we need to use fluorescence makeup and glazing. Okay, I'm going to glaze and make the makeup in a crown, in in a young one and in aged one, in a crown, in a young one. You can see it's very easy to make some natural result with very small work, only with very few stains in the contact point, in the occlusal area or incisal area. And the young and the aged one, we make more saturations, more color, more high saturation. You can see here. This is my workly day. I make up with white and terracotta in the crest of the incisal area, in the crest of the cuspid area, the blue in the incisal area, brown for make some spots or cracks in the surface, like in the aged one, and increase with shade the cervical zone. In occlusal area, I use terracotta and shade mixed with 50%, brown to make some spots, purple grain in the incisal zone. You can see here pre-makeup after the makeup, and again with ultraviolet. Here we can see the fluorescence of the glaze. Okay. The mica is very important. Use a mica fluorescence. I'm going to show you after that. I'm going to show you the fluorescence of the makeups of Biomic, because we need to understand which one is more fluorescence or which one is less fluorescence to paint or restorations. Another important thing is how to make the treatment of the surface. When take out of the milling machine, sometimes we have some spots, some connection, or I don't know, irregularities of the surface. I don't know. We must sometimes we need to touch with a stone, with a bar, stone bar. Grading and polish. We need to grade and polish the surface. It's very important to use some wheels to make a very shiny surface. It's not those ones is my I use that bars in my lab, but it's not important that kind of wheels. But it begin in the very hard stone, and in the end, the last one is only for shining. You can the grain of the rubber is going to be more fine from the beginning to the end. This is the first stage. I use the stone. I'm grading the surface, and after the grading, I'm going to polish with the first one, second one, third one, and the final result is with the last one, silicone rubber, and this is the final result, like a mirror. This is what I need, because this zirconium is going to be in contact with soft tissue, and we need that kind of surface. Look at that picture. Here you can see the zirconium with a microscope. For images are taken with a microscope. The first one is post-sintering. The zirconium post-sintering after the milling machine. We touch with some rubber wheels. You can see I showed you before. How to make the texture after in a green stage. After the sintering, this is the first image. We have that surface. Be very careful with the sandblasting. Many times we do it so that the glaze works better, but if we leave something exposed, this is the result. The second image. The second image is the sandblasting. That is the reason that I don't like sandblasting. I'm going to tell you how I prepare the surface to make up after that. I'm going to talk about the sandblasting and how to prepare the surface. How I prepare the surface. The third imaging is post grading. Imagine you put that crown in the mouth, the patient and the clinic and the dentist touched the occlusal surface, and he didn't polish. That's the imaging of the grading, the grading surface of the zirconium. It's like sandpaper, it's a sandpaper in contact of the antagonist. Is a bad thing. The fourth one is polish. Is a zirconium, very very polished. This is the imaging that we need in contact of the soft tissue of the antagonist of the patient. After that, after the polish, we're going to make prepare the surface to make the makeup, and after that, going to glaze, and that's all. When we choose zirconium, another thing we have to think about is the different saturation that the color has in the same tooth. Like this is a natural example. We have more saturation in the cervical and middle zone and less saturation in the incisal area and occlusal area. In the middle of the occlusal, we have more saturation, like orange that I showed you before. And I'm going to increase the saturation in the cervical zone, in the middle a little bit, and nothing in the occlusal area. In the occlusal area, maybe I'm going to make the stains with white or so terracotta with white or something like that, and we're going to recreate the sensation, increase the sensation of the gradation of the crown. Look this. This is how to compare the chroma value and hue of that crown. This is teeth of the beta guide in the inferior zone, and I compare with the A2 monolithic crown. If I only see the value like this, I take a punch in the beta teeth, and I put in the A2 of the monolithic. It's impossible to see. It's exactly value. The value is very very similar. What happened with the chroma and the hue are very similar, very very similar, like A2, like a beta guide. You see, but in the middle zone and in the cervical zone. But what happened in the incisal zone? Look this. This is a D2 of the beta guide. I make the same. I take a punch in the cervical zone. It's very similar again. The value and the chroma and the hue are very similar, but look what happened in the incisal area. Is more whitish. For my opinion, it's too white. And that's the reason that commonly I use gray or blue in green stage. When the zirconium are in a green stage, I infiltrate with magic coloring in the occlusal area. That's the reason, because for my opinion, it's too bright, too high value have a high value in the occlusal area, in incisal area. Okay. When I work in a previa sector, anterior sector, the optical properties of the Zirconium 3D Pro from Aidite seems magnificent to me. It's incredible. The optical properties of that zirconium are have a very good transmission of the light. It's very strong for the connections of the metal connections for cement. It's a very good material in my hands. You can see here the translucency and of the zirconium with a backlight. And now we make with external makeup according for the patient characteristics, and after that I'm going to use the 3D glaze to make the texture like this. And after that, I grading and polish, and I make the glazing. This is the final result. This is the pre-makeup and post-makeup with a metal connection cemented. Make a hand polish ever to control the shiny of the restoration. And here this is the final work. Placement in the mouth. It's very nice for me. I like that restoration that for the light and the transmission of the light. In a posterior zone, I think it's a good material too, but the transmission is the light. The light is not as important as in anterior sector. I make the commonly I make that makeup map. I use the shade again in a cervical zone, purple gray to make a little bit more gray the incisal area. I show you before with the beta guide. Terracotta in a brown in occlusal area, brown to make some spots, white in the edge of the cuspid of the occlusal area, and that's all. Very simple. I told you. What we're going to do in how to characterize the previous sector is very easy. Again, it's very easy. The texturing is similar like the lighter tones, but the infiltrations of with magic coloring change. Look this. I use the disc to make more independency of the teeth. Be careful with that. Be careful because the zirconium is like only ceramics, and we need strong structures. If you use a lot the disc, is going to reduce the hardness of the structure. No, be careful with that. I use again the 0.3 millimeters bar for make the texture, and my customized rubber bar to make some horizontal lines, and I use that bar to make more soft the surface, more soft, and that's the result of the texture of that anterior zone. That's all. Only 5 bars, and it's very easy. Take a little care with a disc to make when we use in a bridge. Okay, with the lateral light again, I put the lateral light in the left side and right side. I control the texture, and after that I'm going to use the magic coloring in a 3D Pro. Only a little bit in the incisal area to decrease the white effect. For me, it's too white. I repeat, in my opinion, I use the shade to increase the saturation in the canine. The canine increase the shade I in that case, or B or C or whatever you use. I increase the saturation of the canine. In the natural mouth is like this. The canine is more saturated, is more intensive. I use the growth orange in the interproximal area, and in incisal zone I use only dark gray or light gray, but very few, only a little bit to decrease the value. This is the texturing after the sintering. This is the texturing and the color of that bridge. Okay. And it's too easy. You only need to practice to make a texture, because the milling machine, in my opinion, is not like a handmade. Unfortunately. Okay, we're going to talk about the lag restorations. What happened with the lag restoration? We are going to talk about the lag restoration now, like this, bimaxillar, or like this. For me, is a very nice material. Look at that. We need to have a very exact. We need to have very exact with the work protocols in a big restorations. We need to design with the face of the patient. It's impossible to make a static restoration if we make that design only in a computer without photos. It's impossible. I need to use the face of the patient to make and I drop the lines. I drop the lines of the eyes, the middle facial, the facial middle line. I need to see the lips of the patient. I need to see a lot of things. I need to work with the patient. If I design without that, it's impossible to have a good result. Here you can see. Now I can design the restoration. Looking the restoration in the mouth of the patient. That's the result of that work. This is Biomic Staining Glaze and 3D Pro. Again, I work with the patient. I need to use an aesthetic and functional plastic proof. It's important because we can see the definite work before finishing it. Because if you finish it, the work without that proof is a crazy thing, you know. It's a very big restoration, and you need the restoration before finishing it with a plastic proof. This is before the plastic, in the left side and in the right side with the plastic. We can control a lot of things. We can control the midline. We can control the size of the teeth, the color, a lot of things we can see here. That's the key for a durable and resistant work in a predictable aesthetics. It's very important to do the plastic proof. I'm going to talk about now with another case. This is the final result. And again is Biomic with the Staining Glaze and 3D Pro. Another one. When I do that type of restoration, after the texturing, I'm going to make the coloring. I take out the rehabilitation of the take out of the milling machine. I make the texturing, and after the texturing, I make the coloring of the in a traffic jam. So I make the coloring like a bone. I'm going to talk about that thing when I'm going to talk about the gum. After that, here I make a very thin space for the gum. You can see here is a very thin layer, and in that case, it's a Hollywood white. It's a very, very white. It's like it's more white than B1, and a very thin layer of Biomic gum and 3D glaze. This is the final restoration. Okay, here you can see. In my opinion, the milling machines still do not finish the texture as I like them. I texturize and use a little bit at this. Be careful with this. I going to talk. I talk you about that. I texturing like this, and after that I infiltrate, and this is the result. I infiltrate the incisal area to decrease the value, and in the interproximal area to increase the sensation of the tip in the interproximal area. Here you can see the final result with again with the 3D Pro and a little work of external makeup and little work of internal makeup, the metal connections cemented. Here you can see that I talk about it. In interdental zone, you can see how increase the saturation to increase the sensation of deep in the interproximal areas. Okay, aesthetic and functional plastic proof again. We can see the definite work before finishing, and I prove in the passing mouth. Okay. Here, this is a very big restoration. I make the plastic proof in the mouth of the patient like this. Here is I work with the face of the patient. I design. You can see I design the structures with the face of the patient. I make the plastics. I try the plastics in the mouth. And after the trying, I try and passive structure, and after that I make the restoration. I'm going to show you. This is the plastic proof. Here you can see we're going to screw in the mouth of the patient. I printing in my lab, aesthetic and functional test. I print in my lab. I put the connections and cement and proof in the mouth of the patient, and in the office, in the dental office, they can check it in the mouth. A lot of things, maybe the middle line or a little bit long, the 11 or the 21 in that case, or inclination of the teeth. You can choose. You can change a lot of things, or it's possible to make another proof, or if everything is okay, we're going to finally to make the final restoration. Here you can see I'm going to change some things. I see all that things in the mouth, but only the function and the aesthetics, not the adjustment of over the implants. The adjustment we're going to see with a metal frame. I'm going to show you. This is the model, the printing model with the replica, the implant replica screwing in the model, and I'm going to make the cementation of the interfaces, metal interfaces, and I use the photogrammetry and make a passive adjustment, a bar for control the adjustment. In works of that site, I use photogrammetry to know exactly where the implants are in a digital impression. This is the photogrammetry in the mouth of the patient, and we add the photogrammetry taken to the intraoral scanning mesh, and we obtain an exact digital impression. Now we know where exactly the placement of the implants, and we will check it with a passive test. This is a passive test. You can see in the picture. To passive test in the upper and lower jaw. This test is a milling bar, and we will try in the patient mouth to perform the Sheffield test. Here you can see in the mouth, place that bar, and make the verification test to control that we have a very exactly model to design that type of restoration. After that, we're going to print the models, and we will use the test to make a model to cement the metal interfaces, because it's impossible to cement in the printing model because we have mobility in the replica, and the replica are screwed, but it's a plastic model, and the replica have a little movement. But if we make one model with stone, and using the test, we can make a model for cement the metal interfaces. After that, we're going to make the infiltration of the restoration. This is after the sintering, texturing, infiltration, texturing, everything is the same, and that's the final result. Again, only with a little bit makeup in the external surface and Biomic gum and 3D glaze. Here we have the final restoration with a good passivity, 100% passivity, and we have cement metal connection. Here is the final result of two lower and upper jaw of the same patient. Okay, I'm going to talk you how I stain, make the external stains, and how to use the Biomic gum. Okay, when we make up of the surface of a bridge in anterior zone, I ever use for make the halo white and terracotta. I don't like only use white because for me it's too bright. I mix with a little bit of terracotta, only a small portion. I increase the gray effect or the translucent effect with a purple gray, or blue in the interproximal area, in a transition. In the interproximal area, I use terracotta and shade A or B or C or whatever you use. Terracotta and shade to increase the sensation of the saturation of the tone, and shade in the cervical area, like this. And that's all. That's all. It's very simple. The yellow I used to recreate the mamelon. Again, under the UV light, you can see is without glaze. Here is with glaze. Remember, the natural teeth have fluorescence. Okay, this is my set. I use Biomic and Biomic gum and the palette, and I take one photo. I talked to you about the fluorescence. I take this photo of the makeup, and under the UV light, you can see how is the fluorescence of the white makeup. Of the brown is you have less fluorescence. The yellow is very high fluorescence, and it's interesting to understand that. And this is the glaze fluor. Is very fluor. I like so much this glaze. The 3D and the 2D glazes are the same have the same fluorescence, very high fluorescence, and that's what happened. And what happened with the pink one? The pink one. This is the pink set under the UV light. It's not fluorescent. They have not, because why? Because the flesh, the meat is not fluorescent. The gum is not fluorescent. Having a fluorescence. I use the palette. In my case, I use the A2. It's very interesting for me because you can see the final color over the A2 zirconium, and I make again a fluorescence photo, and you can see the bright colors of the white, yellow are very fluorescent. Have a very high fluorescence. Look at that. I want to show you one case. It's a fold case. I fold that one. If you see that imagine, I make the 11, but this is a wrong crown because we use the wrong material. This is a disilicate and monolithic only with stain. In 11, you can see, for me, is a good result. But what happened if I make that photo in black and white? the chroma value and hue is very good. It's impossible to see that punch of the 21 in the 11 in the restoration. This is the initial situation. This is the passing to when come to the office, the dental office come like this. This is after the restoration, the final result, but is a wrong restoration. Look at that. Absence of fluorescence. Is a mist. Why? Because I use the lithium disilicate without fluorescence. I changed that crown for a monolithic one with glaze of Biomic, and that's all. You can see the difference. Okay, this is my map. I use for the high saturation. I talk about for the orange 1 and 2 and terracotta in the cervical area. To increase the tone or the shade, I use the shade A, B, C, or D. This is the orange 1, 2, or yellow 2. I show you in how I use for the yellow for recreate the mamelons or something like that. And in the cold zone, you can use the blue 1, the blue 2, the mauve or black to increase the sensation of gray, of translucency. The pink, I don't like to use the pink in that zone, but sometimes it's important to use when we have a long crown. Sometimes I use the pink, the terracotta to increase. I show you in other restoration. I use the terracotta in a proximal area. The white and I use the white to make cracks or some characterization of the vestibular zone. The brown to recreate some cracks or something like that, and the orange to make some change in the incisal area or in a mamelon. Well, I use this is my palette. I use the A2. You can buy that one in A3, A1, A2. I think A2 is more. I work with A2 more comfortable because it's more. A lot of restoration in my lab are A2. I don't know why. A2 okay. And this is interesting. In the set, you can find two liquids coloring the coloring liquid 1 and 2. The one is commonly we use that for make more fluid the 2D makeups, and the liquid 2 we use to make fluid the 3D past. If you use the liquid 2 in your surface, this is what I was talking about before, how to prepare the surface without sandblasting. I use the liquid number 2 in the surface. This is the number 1 without sandblasting. In the picture of the right, you can see water drops or oil drops in the surface, because it's impossible to apply the number 1. But look what happened with the number 2 without sandblasting. That's the reason that I don't use the sandblasting. Sorry. I prefer use the number 2, and after that I prepare my surface like this with wet surface with liquid number 2, and after that I'm going to start the makeup with orange in the interproximal area, the shade A, B, C, or D, if it depends on the restoration. Sometimes, and in that case, I use the A to increase the saturation, the canine. the mouth and the blue in the incisal area, terracotta and orange in the interproximal and in the canine to make more saturation. In the palatal zone is the same. Not only vestibular teeth, we make teeth, and teeth is a palatal zone, is a vestibular zone, interproximal, In the palatal zone, I use the terracotta and orange and mauve and blue in the incisal area. And a little bit white, you can see here. I use the white to increase the effect, the halo effect. And after that, I'm going to put in the furnace. I make the first bake. After that, I apply the 3D glaze. Make again in the furnace the second bake, and you can see here the difference in the first one and the second in the left, in the right side without 3D paste or 3D glaze, and in the right side the 3D paste with 3D paste. And now I'm going to grading and polish the surface and make the texture and change some things of that bridge, maybe the contact point or cuspid, or you can change with the 3D pass some things. I polish and I glaze again. When I glaze, I use the final makeup. I use some characteristics. I make some little spots, to correct. It's possible to correct some things with the final glaze, and that's the result. Here is the final result. This is a little is a orange in the cervical zone with terracotta and orange, brown to make some cracks or some lines. Shade to increase the sensation of the saturation of the teeth. Orange to make the mamelons. Mauve and blue 1 and 2 to increase the sensation of the translucency, and white in the for make the halo effect. In the palatal zone is the same. Terracotta and orange shade to increase the saturation. Brown to make some spots, and mauve and blue in the incisal area, and white in the incisal edge. This is a resume of my way of in my commonly workly day. I prepare the surface with liquid number 2. After that, I make the first makeup. After that, I go into texturing with a 3D glaze, and after that is the final glaze and control the shining. Okay, finally we're going to talk about the gum. I love that set of gum because it's very useful for my workly day. When we think in a gum, we must think in pink, but of course we must think in white. When we think in pink, we must think in white. Why? Because the pink aesthetics and the white aesthetics are very, very close. I'm going to show you here. Look the teeth and in the left side and the SP curve. You can see the SP curve. The SP curve is the same in the teeth and in the soft tissue. You can show you. And when we think in the pink area, we must think that soft tissue are over the bone, and the bone have valleys and have valleys between the roots of the tooth, and have a peak in the root and valley in the between the root, and we must think in the bone when we make the soft tissue. Okay, I can show you. I talk about that. The soft tissue is not fluorescence, but the tooth are fluorescence. You can see here. Okay, when I design the monolithic in a big restoration, I make I prepare the design for make an infiltration, but I never use the pink in my restoration. The structure, I never use the pink because the bone are white. The bone of the patient are maybe like A2 or A3. I'm going to show you. I give a very thin space to make the makeup and the 3D. Maybe half a millimeter is enough. Maybe half a millimeter, like this. Here is only half a millimeter to make the pink, and I'm going to show you how I do. This is the set, and I'm going to show the here. Okay, this is commonly the instructions of the 3D paste says the 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 3D and the 2D is going to use in a 3D paste, and in a 2D paste we're going to use the pink 5 and pink hair. But I mix the pink 5 to increase the pink 1 to pink 4, and I have a lot of pinks with that mix, you know, because you can put 20% pink 1, 80% of pink 1 with 20% of pink 5. You're going to obtain more or less a pink 1.5, more or less. No, is you have I do my custom palette of pink aesthetics. I'm going to show you now. Okay, that's what I talk about you. Remember, we use the pink pink gum over the bone. This is the alveolar bone. After the alveolar bone, here we have the roots of the tooth. Here's the free gingiva, and this is the alveolar valley. Okay, if we must to think in that, because when we apply the pink Biomic in the free gingiva, we're going to use more light pink. In the valley, we're going to use more dark for cover all the restorations. We're going to use another one, and we can recreate different tissue, different kind of tissue. This is the relationship between the end of the papilla and the contact point and the crest, the bone crest. When we design the structure, we must to think in that, because is the same distance to the bone crest to the papilla end and to the papilla to contact point. That's the reason that in the between the canine and lateral are in that place, but between the lateral and the central is more down, because the contact point is going to be down, and the papilla point is going to be down, and the crest is going to be down. We must think in that when we make the incisal edge. We must to think in the pink area and the white area together. It's not separate, together. Okay, in the valley zone, I'm going to use the pink 3 or pink 4. It depends of the type of the papilla. Here I'm going to apply to cover all the work with pink 2 or pink 3, it depends. For the free gingiva, I'm going to use the pink one. Here you can see in the interproximal area, I'm going to use terracotta to increase the deep effect. And see that imagine is the bone is like A2 or A3. You can see is A2 or A3. In that case, is A3. That's the reason that I infiltrate my structure in A2 or A3. If the restoration is A1, I'm going to put A3 in my oval, the pink structure. Here you can see it's A3, like a skull, like a bone of the maxilla. And now this is my custom palette. I use the 1 to 5 in the top, and in the bottom zone I mix with the 3D at 20%. I use a 3D with a 20% of 3. And the second one is a number 2 with a 20% of number 2 with a 3D pass. The number 1 with a 20%, the 4 with a 20%, and I use that to compare the color of the patient, and I can do my own mix of the gums. In the left side, the patient have more violet. In the left side, in the right side, is more pink. You can see. Okay, we can recreate with that type of gum more than two different biotypes, thin and thick. In the left side, I'm going to do a thin biotype. In the right side, a thick biotype. In the thin biotype, I'm going to cover the first one with a pink 2. In a thick biotype, I'm going to cover with pink 3. Because and the papilla is going to be down, like you can see, and is more the thick papilla is more bloody, is more thick, more soft tissue. In the thin biotype, in the left side, is more thin, is less. We have less soft tissue over the bone. After that, we apply the pink 3 to cover the valley space between the roots in the thin biotype, and pink 4 one more to cover the valley zone between the root zone. After that, we make the first bake. After the first bake, I continue apply my mix of 3D with a pink 3, and for a thick biotype, and for a thin biotype, and for a thick biotype, I use pink 4 with 30% of 3D. And after that, the free gingiva, I use the pink one with a 3D, and pink one in the both cases, in the thin and the thick biotype. I use in a free gingiva, I use the same, the pink one. You can see in the thin biotype, I make more valleys and more high. The papilla is going to be higher than in the thick biotype. Is going to be down and have more is more flat. I make a little bit dry to make the texturing, because if it's too wet, it's impossible to do. And I drain a little bit, and I use to make the texturing. You can see here the orange and skin. I use the orange skin. Never use that and never put the orange skin in the papilla, ever in the valley zone or in the alveolar zone, but not in the papilla. You can see here how in the thick biotype the papilla is going to be high, and in the thin biotype is going to be down, more down. Okay, I'm going to talk about the symmetry chart. In my opinion, I changed some things like this. Here you can see I changed the heat rate because in my opinion is too high. I'm going to be use about 30 degrees, no more or less, 30 or less degrees for a minute, and I changed the sintering. Temperature I going to put 715 and 710 for the 2D and 3D. The holding time I use zero, and slow cooling for all the rest, all the programs. I changed because in my opinion I use the more slow heating for me is safety. Is in big restaurants is very important to make a very low increase the rating, the heat rates, very low, and very low slow cooling, and a little bit put a little bit down the sintering temperature. Look that. I'm going to show you. This is I use a 3D past and put in the furnace like 730. I make the texturing. In the left side is with 730. In the right side is 715. You can see the texture in the right side. In the left side is very shiny. I don't like it. I don't like that because I need to use. I need the 3D past for make texture. You know, and that's the result. Here for thin and thick biotype. If I use, I can see here. You can see here the temp in 710 in the left side. You can see the texture. If you put in a 730 with no holding time, is very shiny. For me, 730 is too high. But it depends on your furnace. In my furnace, I use the 3 different type of furnace. One Decema, one Ivoclar, and one Cameo, one of Aidite. And in my opinion, for the 3